Assalamu class 6. This is Khalid Saleem. I hope that all of you are well. Uh, Inshallah, I'll be teaching you English in this session. So, the book that we are going to use is New Oxford Modern English, Book 6. I hope that everyone has it, and inshallah, I would be sharing a snapshot of the syllabus with you as well. So you're supposed to write it down as you wrote it down in class 5 neatly in your English A copies. Inshallah, I would be sharing the English B syllabus, but later on, not right now. So let's start with the first lesson that is included in our first term syllabus. The lesson goes by the name of Nicobobinus. Okay, this chapter is on page number 6. The chapter's name is Nicobobinus. Before every reading, we usually go through the words to know section, so that if these words they come up in the lesson, then we would be knowing their meanings beforehand. So let's look at the meanings. The first word is daft. Daft means silly. So daft is an adjective. Jerkin. Jerkin is a sleeveless jacket typically made of leather. So it's a noun. Okay, it's a jacket, sleeveless one. The third word is roller, a heavy cylindrical stone used to flatten grass. It's also a noun, it's a thing. Shutters, uh, wooden window covers. So it's also a noun. Okay. Squirm, it means, it's a verb, it means to wriggle or twist the body from side to side. For example, if you shake your body from side to side, okay, then it means squirm, and it's a verb. The last word is weed, to pull up wild plants growing in unwanted places. So weed is also a verb, but weed is also a noun as well. Weed means some unwanted plants, but here it has been used in the context of uh, a verb. It means that you weed out your garden every day. For example, you typically remove unwanted plants that are growing in your garden every day. So in this sense, you can use it as a verb as well. Okay, this is an adventure story, and it's about a boy and a girl. The boy has been portrayed to be a very brave boy, a boy who is very bold and very confident. And there's a very famous sort of incident associated with this boy, that he once stuck out his tongue at the prime minister, which is actually very daring. So they go on an adventure, and things turn bad, and Nicobobinus is somehow trapped, and there's a man chasing him. So it's quite a nice story, and I hope that you would have fun reading it. So let's begin with the reading of the chapter. Okay, this is the story of the most extraordinary child who ever stuck his tongue out at the prime minister. His name was Nicobobinus. He lived a long time ago in a city called Venice. So Venice is a city that is in Italy. Okay, and he could do anything. So, an extraordinary child who ever stuck out his tongue at the prime minister. And what was his name? His name was Nicobobinus, and he lived a very long time ago in a city that is known as Venice, that is in modern day Italy. And he could do anything. Okay, so it tells us that he was brave, he was fearless, he was confident. So he was quite a hardy boy. Okay, of course, not everybody knew he could do anything. In fact, only his best friend Rosie knew, and nobody took any notice of anything Rosie said. So it was not a famous thing actually. I mean, it's not that a bunch of people knew what he could do. This thing was only known by his best friend, whose name was Rosie. And no one actually cared what Rosie said, because no one actually took Rosie serious, because she was always having wild ideas anyway. Why didn't people take Rosie serious? Because she was coming up with wild ideas, crazy ideas all the time. So let's read one of those wild ideas that Rosie suggests to Nicobobinus. One day, for example, Rosie said to Nicobobinus, let us pull up every single weed on your doorstep. So suggested this idea that they should remove unwanted plants that were growing in front of his house door, steps. Okay, let us not, said Nicobobinus, which is what Rosie thought he would say. So Rosie knew that it was a wild idea. It was an idea that was not worth pursuing, and he suggested that, let us not do it because it does not sound good. Okay, in that case, Rosie replied, Rosie, let us discover the land of dragons. So another crazy idea by Rosie, that she says, let's go out there and go on a journey, and let's try to find the land of the dragons. So dragons are a mythical figure and they don't exist. So you can come to know of the state of mind of Rosie by this sentence. Okay, don't be daft. Daft means silly. We have read it in the meaning section as well. Said Nicobobinus, how can we do that? Because you can do anything, said Rosie. So she had full confidence in Nicobobinus, and she really liked Nicobobinus, and she was sure that whatever she would suggest to him, he would agree to that. Okay, because you can do anything, said Rosie. So the next morning, just as it was getting light, it means the next morning, just as light was appearing on the sky and it was getting bright, Rosie threw little pebbles up at Nicobobinus' shutters. So what did Rosie do? She threw little pebbles. Pebbles are small stones, okay, at Nicobobinus' shutters. So we have read the meaning of shutter above as well. It means wooden window covers. Nicobobinus was still half asleep when he looked out. So he was not fully awake when he woke up, and he was still half asleep when he looked out. Okay, what is the matter, Rosie? He asked. Shh, whispered Rosie. I have got the buns and the lemonade. Now he's inquiring that what has happened? Why are you here? And she just tells him to be quiet, and she informs him that she has the buns and the lemonades for their journey to the land of the dragons. Okay. What for? Asked Nicobobinus. Supplies for the road. Supplies for the road? Whispered Rosie. Where are we going? Asked Nicobobinus. We are going to find the land of dragons, whispered Rosie. Don't you remember? Oh, I thought you might have forgotten about that, said Nicobobinus. No fear, said Rosie. It is one of the best ideas I have ever had. What about the reading? Said Nicobobinus. Come on, said Rosie. So they set off through the early morning town. Set off का मतलब होता है to start their journey. Okay, it's a phrasal verb. When they got to the end of the narrow street where they lived, they met a night watchman who said, where are you two going at this hour? So they were interrupted on their journey by a watchman who inquired from them that, you two young fellows, where are you going out all alone? So he inquired from them at this hour. We are going to look for the land of dragons, said Nicobobinus. Okay, you can't do that at this time of the morning, said the night watchman. But before he could grab them, Rosie and Nicobobinus were sprinting away as fast as they could. Sprinting means to run. Sprint means to run very fast. So they were running away as fast as they could from the night watchman, because he was not allowing them to go out at this hour of the morning. It was quite early in the morning. And they didn't stop running until they had crossed 3 bridges and tripped over the dog that was lying asleep under a garden wall. So they ran very fast, and they crossed 3 bridges, and in the end, when did they stop? They actually tripped over a dog that was sleeping under a garden wall. Okay. Rosie's bottle of lemonade smashed against the wall, and the dog leapt to his feet. So leapt is the past form of leap. Leap, it means to jump, or to jump on your feet, it means. Okay, barking as if had thought dog's doomsday had arrived. So the dog was badly shaken, and he was not expecting to be to have these kids tripping over him, and all of the supplies that she was carrying with her Rosie. The lemonade bottle, it smashed against the wall, and the dog woke up, and the dog thought, uh, to be woken up this rudely. He thought that it was some sort of a dog's doomsday. Doomsday means kiamat, okay? For a moment, they were sure it was going to bite them, but then it noticed the two buns that had rolled into the gutter, and it wolfed them down, barked thank you, and ran off to tell its friends. So they were very afraid. The dog was very angry with them, and but the dog, instead of biting them, he looked at the two burns that had fallen from Rosie's back, and he just wolfed them down. Wolf them, it means to eat in a very hungry manner. And he barked, and then he ran to his friends, its friends. Okay, we are not going to get far without supplies, said Rosie gloomily. Gloomily means in a very depressingly, in a very sad manner, you can say. I wonder if I could pick a few of those, said Nicobobinus, gazing up at an apple tree on the other side of the wall. So Rosie just said that, we cannot go onwards with our journey without any supplies. So Nicobobinus is looking uh, over the wall at the tree that is growing on the other side of the wall, and he says, and he states that, he would like to pick some apples from that tree. Of course you can, said Rosie. Stand on my shoulders. So Nicobomnus stood on Rosie's shoulders and climbed onto the wall, but the tree was further away than he thought, and as he reached out, he lost his balance and fell with a crash down into the most magnificent garden he had ever been in. So Rosie helped Nicobobinus, and he stood on her shoulders. But the tree was quite far, and when trying to grab the apples from that tree, he actually lost his balance and he fell to the other side of the wall. And he very much appreciated that garden. It was very magnificent. Magnificent means something that is very impressive. Nicobobinus looked back at the high wall, but there was no way he could climb back. What I'm going to do, he yelled. Yelled means shout, okay? So he shouted, and he was looking at the high wall, and he knew that Rosie was on the other side of the wall, and how was he supposed to climb back up and, join Rosie? So you'll think of something, Rosie yelled back, crossing her fingers very hard. So Rosie was very confident, and she really um, had sort of, you can say, high expectations from Nicobobinus, because she believed that he was very smart, very confident, and he was very bold and fearless, brave. So she had full confidence in Nicobobinus, and she suggested, you would come up with a solution and you would climb back up. Oi, said a voice behind Nicobobinus. Nicobobinus didn't stop to look who it was. He ran straight into a tree. So there was a voice, there was a shout, and it got Nicobobinus' attention, and he did not look behind him. He ran straight, and he actually hit the tree. Got you, said the voice, and Nicobobinus felt five thick fingers on his neck. So he was finally caught by this man. Oh, said Nicobobinus. I have been waiting for you, said the voice, and Nicobobinus felt five more thick fingers around his wrist. Wrist का मतलब होता है हथेली, आपकी हाथ की हथेली, ठीक है? But Nicobobinus, instead of trying to run away, doubled himself up and went backwards as fast as he could. So the man's legs were knocked from under him, and he landed in a pile of leaves. So instead of you know agreeing to whatever the man was saying, and the man had a very strong hold on him. He had caught him by his neck, and he had also caught him by his wrist, but Nicobobinus, he just bent downwards, and with a great push he pushed himself back, and the man, he got unbalanced, and he fell into a pile of leaves. Okay, are you all right? Said Rosie, but she didn't hear any reply except for the man who growled. Growl का मतलब होता है to sort of make a very deep guttural voice from your throat when you are sort of angry or hurt. Just you wait, both of you. Oh dear, said Rosie. Sounds like trouble, and she was right. So the man fell and he growled. He said in a very hurtful voice, in a very angry voice, you can say, that you just wait, you both, and I'm going to get you. And Rosie knew that, the time of trouble had started, and she was right about it, because inshallah, on Saturday, in our next lecture, we'll be reading the chapter 2 as well of this lesson. So what you're supposed to do is, for today's lesson, is that you're supposed to write the syllabus that I'm going to be sharing with you, and in your English A copy, because I will just be sharing the English literature syllabus with you. And the next task that you're supposed to do is write the words and their meanings, okay? And if possible, try to make sentences of it as well, of these 6 words, okay? Thank you.